In the last lecture we said that a metaverse could theoretically be established when both the identity and value systems are realized, and you must have noticed that in 2021. Many companies are starting to accelerate the layout of the metaverse. For example, Facebook says it will become a metaverse company in the next 5 years and has just launched a virtual meeting software based on VR headsets. Apple wants to replace iPhone with VR headsets in 10 years. The big companies are investing so much that there is undoubtedly a huge potential profit to be made. Bloomberg predicts that by 2030 the market size of the metaverse could reach $2.5 trillion. But a question that arises is whether the opportunities presented by the metaverse belong to just a few large companies. Are we only ready-made consumers of the metaverse, or can we also participate in the construction and operation of the metaverse? This depends on the operation mechanism of the metaverse. In addition to the identity and value systems, the metaverse is inseparable from the support of many other links, such as the lowest infrastructure level. Does the metaverse have enough computing power, high-speed network and open protocol support? For example, if we want to enter the metaverse in the future, do we need to use specific hardware devices? If we're going to live in the metaverse, does it have to have enough life scenarios? Does it have to have a variety of jobs for people to make money? This means that the metaverse needs a lot of scenarios and application developers, and this part will also create a lot of opportunities that we can participate in. So building a metaverse is not something that a few companies can do, but a system project. What are the challenges and opportunities of this system engineering for people from different industries? How can ordinary people participate in the process of metaverse construction? In this lesson, let's take a look. The 3 stages of building a metaverse. There are 3 main stages. If we briefly sort out the metaverse construction process in terms of the time dimension, the first stage is the preparation stage, which mainly involves the infrastructure. Suppliers of the metaverse, as mentioned earlier, the infrastructure of the metaverse mainly includes communication networks, cloud computing and new open network protocols. The ideal metaverse can accommodate millions, tens of millions or even billions of people simultaneously. So its demand for network and computing power will grow exponentially, just like different internet is connected through HTTP protocol. The transmission between the metaverse and real world and between different metaverse also needs an interoperable new and open network protocol. This piece involves more technical details, and we will expand on it when we have the chance. The second phase is the startup phase, mainly involving the bookkeeping system and the NFT transaction system. As we said in the last lesson of NFT, the ledger system records the value exchange in the metaverse, which is implemented through the blockchain. For example, if my digital identity buys a bottle of water in some metaverse, the ledger of that metaverse will be recorded once to mark the transfer of ownership of the bottle of water to me. Many blockchain companies are currently building bookkeeping systems for the metaverse, such as the more familiar Ether. The third stage is the explosion period. 2 types of suppliers will be great in this stage: hardware equipment manufacturers and application scenario developers. You must have heard a lot about the hardware devices of the metaverse, such as VR helmets, smart glasses, electronic skin, brain, computer interface and so on applications. Seeing developers are even more plentiful because many scenes in the real world, such as entertainment, social work, school shopping etc., will also be available in the metaverse, so there will be a need for people to open stores, companies, schools planning performances or sports events, etc. in the metaverse, which are all opportunities for applications, seeing developers. In my opinion, we have now come to the startup period of the metaverse. Why do you say so? Because in 2021, based on the mature bookkeeping system, the NFT standard has been recognized by the market and started to be used on a large scale. Like in the first half of 2020, the global market for NFT transactions was only $13.7 million, while in the first half of 2021, the number soars to $2.5 billion. The hardware of the metaverse. After talking about the development stages of the metaverse and the suppliers, let's go back to the question mentioned at the beginning. What are the opportunities and challenges for people from different industries in the process of building the metaverse here? I would like to focus on the nearest hardware equipment and application scenario industries. What kind of hardware equipment is needed for the metaverse? There is a view in the market that the more immersive the effect, the better. This also matches the picture depicted by many movies in the movie Ready Player One. Everyone enters a virtual world called Oasis with a VR headset. The hero also spent money to upgrade his equipment, a set of electronic skin with a sensory system. It can feel the touch of others, or the pain when hit by a weapon. The brain-computer interface in the Matrix is more cutting-edge technology which boils down all of a person's sensory cells into a system of signals that originate in the brain and return to the brain. These technologies aim to make the digital world more and more immersive by making it more and more realistic. One of the most radical ideas I've heard is that if hardware develops to the stage of brain-machine interface, people will only need to keep their brains, their physical bodies will just be incidental. In other words, some people feel that in the future we will all live in digital identity in a metaverse and only need to return to the real world when it's time to eat and sleep here. I would like to remind you that although there is a lot of room for hardware development at the perceptual level, it is not possible to see the degree of development of the perceptual level in correspondence with the degree of development of the metaverse. In other words, it's not more immersive. The perception is the closer we are to the metaverse, there is no need to use immersive devices like the Central and the Sandbox Crypto Box. ALS3 recognized early metaverses players can access the experience from the computer side, and overemphasis on immersion can bring new problems, just like Leonardo DiCaprio's wife in Inception ended up with cognitive dissonance because she couldn't tell if it was a dream or reality and finally chose to commit suicide. This is precisely the point of risk that we need to prevent in advance. If immersion is not the only goal pursued by metaverse hardware device vendors, what else can we do as a hardware industry? There are some development trends that are certain, such as the demand for terminal computing in the metaverse will be very large. What is terminal computing? It is the computing power of each player's and device. Since in the metaverse, each player's freedom is far beyond the general game. But if every player's behavior has to go to the cloud to calculate, the network will be congested. So the computing power of the player's local device must be improved, which will bring opportunities to the hardware, including the chip industry. Another example is the combination of hardware and software, because the future metaverse needs many scenarios and applications, so hardware manufacturers only focusing on hardware is not enough to build a moat to see if there is an opportunity to combine hardware in other industries such as education, content, creativity, Scenarios and applications of the metaverse. Okay, let's talk about application scenario development. Let's imagine what the scenarios and applications of the metaverse are like, which can be broadly divided into three categories. The first category is the basic consumer goods of life. For example, there are also businesses in the metaverse that build houses, furniture, cars, clothes and shoes. Here is a link for virtual shoes, https://rtfkt.com. You can check it out if you're interested. The second category is content production, such as games in the metaverse, art, exhibitions, etc. The third category is scene development. For example, for the education scene, you can develop a Mars metaverse which can directly present students with a realistic Mars living environment, and the teaching effect will be better for these three types of producers. I will use metaverse manufacturing to describe them. It should be noted that companies can participate in the metaverse manufacturing industry, but ordinary people can also use their imagination and participate in the construction. I have an idea for a metaverse for queuing scenarios. When you queue with many people offline, queuing for an hour can consume a lot of physical and mental energy. If there is a queuing metaverse because everyone is queuing with a digital identity, there is no real physical exertion. Your digital identity can socialize with the digital identity before and after the queue. You can buy and sell each other's position. Doesn't it sound fun with that? Said. Will many people or companies want to do metaverse, and which one will be more popular? My opinion is that in the metaverse, creativity will constitute an absolute advantage for the participants because the value system of the metaverse is based on the blockchain, a unique idea, even if you realize it 1 second earlier than others. Everyone will recognize you as the first one, and it is meaningless to copy, so no matter how many metaverses there are, your advantage maybe a particularly fun name or a particular novel design. Then again, I suppose you open a clothing store in the metaverse, it's not the same as opening a store in the real world. In the real world, a well-chosen store location and fast delivery may be ahead of other stores, but in the metaverse, location, logistics and supply chain are not important because there is no concept of traffic in the metaverse and 1 million people can appear in your store simultaneously. In this case, the store attraction is determined by whether your product is fun and creative enough. After listening to me, if you want to become an application scenario developer, the advice I would like to give you is to look at what content or scenario elements are beneficial to help players build up their identity system and value system. If you find such an opportunity, grab it firmly. As 2 examples, there are a lot of people making NFT avatar projects now because they are seen as identity accounts for future access to the metaverse. The project owner can design many different avatars, such as references to animal images, alien images, or even references to emojis. However, if you were to design a set of NFT avatars by referring to landscape painting elements, it will be less conducive to building up an identity system because it is not an anthropomorphic image and less likely to give rise to identity mapping and association with oneself. As a second example, to start a business around a metaverse value system, it is necessary to find out what has exchangeable value in the metaverse. For example, in a modern urban-style metaverse, a virtual house is a product that has exchange potential, but going for plumbing, wiring and other house accessories won't have much value because in a digital world, houses no longer need to be plumbed or wired. Let's summarize today's lesson 1. The construction of the metaverse is a system project that includes 4 types of suppliers: the underlying infrastructure, bookkeeping system, and NFT hardware devices, and application scenario development. 2. We are now in the startup phase of the metaverse, marked by the bookkeeping system starting to mature and the NFT standard being recognized by the market and starting to be used on a large scale. 3. There are 2 reminders about the construction of metaverse. One is that the development level of hardware immersion level does not represent the development level of metaverse. The second is that in the metaverse, the future competition at the application scene level will only fight creativity.